Alright guys, I think without question we found one of the edgiest shows this season by far today with the Eminence and Shadow. It is like over the top edgelord, but I actually kind of really liked it. I thought they did it really well actually. Like right away as our episode begins and as it's progressing through, they just set a tone. They set a tone immediately. And you can just tell right away that, yeah, this show's going there. We're not going to be subdued or anything. We're going full edgy. And you're going to love it or you're going to hate it. And I really liked it, actually. So I thought the presentation was really good. I came into this series not knowing what to expect at all because I've heard so many different things about it. I've heard that this is a comedy. I've heard that this show is a comedy, like Konosuba level comedy. But after this episode, I'm gonna tell y'all right now, I don't see it. I don't see it at all. But without further ado, let's just get in and talk about the Eminence and Shadow episode 1 because there's a decent amount to talk about. This is a really interesting episode. Now, you would think for a show that I call the edgelord show of the season that it would start way more grandiose and be a bigger spectacle. But no, we actually start just with a very sad morning routine of one girl, actually, as she goes about her business throughout the day and just in her big empty house, just all by herself, alone. And you can tell right away that it affects her. But nothing really out the ordinary. Besides, she apparently has some trauma about something happened in the past, but otherwise, it's a normal, regular day as she heads to school. So as she gets to school, it seems to just be business as usual now. You know, she's walking around, everyone seems to really love her and call out to her, and everything's just going normal. Until she walks into the school building, looks over at this one guy, and then all of a sudden, out of the blue, just says that there's a boy that I really despise. As she goes and addresses him by the name Kagano, and immediately just starts naming off, like, traits of his, how he's exceedingly average in terms of intelligence, physically he's exceedingly average, and look-wise he's mega average. And to top it all off, he doesn't even remember her name, as he calls her a different name. And she is pissed. She tries to play it off and act cool, but you can tell immediately that she's really ticked off about that. She tells him, like, hey, that's not my name. He's like, oh, I got it wrong, my bad. Then he says, oh, I remember now. You're technically a named NPC, weren't you? Sorry about that. I'm pretty good at remembering the names of all the important characters. But I haven't been getting enough sleep lately, so I guess I got careless. And we just really see a close-up of his eyes right here, and they're dead. They're like completely hollow and empty. And he gives off a strange vibe. I'm gonna tell you guys that right now. He gives off like a really dangerous vibe, actually. Just with how he's handling himself. Now she gets fed up with this and introduces herself as Akane Nishino. And he just says, alright, well, I'll talk to you later then, as he addresses her by the wrong name again, as he leaves. As he walks away, she thinks to herself that his most unforgivable crime wasn't that he couldn't get my name right. It's that he never looked at me. He turned his eyes in my direction, but they were always distant. Like he was looking at some different, far-off place. Once I knew that, my hatred for him was more than he's letting on about. That's the kind of vibe he gives off in this instance. Now, apparently Nishino is some sort of fairly well-known actor who's been in multiple different projects in the industry because she gets flocked by a ton of her classmates actually asking about what her next project is, as she starts explaining to us, the audience, that when I was in middle school, I had to take a break from show business because of a scandal. And ever since that incident, I've been hiding behind a mask. She says, I play the teacher's pet so the teachers will like me. I play the popular girl so the students will like me. I basically do everything I can so that people won't hate me. That's how I lived my life up until this point. As we actually transition to a really cool shot of him actually playing the piano. And I'll admit, it is a little edgy, but it's actually a really nice sequence. And it's here at the end of the school day that we see she might be in a bit of trouble, as her driver that dropped her off at the beginning of the day actually isn't there because he's getting the shit kicked out of him by some ruffians. And this point gets personified even more by the fact that she gets kidnapped as she's walking home from school. And right before she passes out, the final thing that she's able to see in her peripheral view is Kagano standing back and watching the whole thing unfold as she wakes up in this abandoned building. And Kagano apparently followed them there because he's seen outside looking in there and getting ready to go break in and, I would imagine, save her. As we see, this guy has weighted training weights, just literally like Goku, as he takes them off, and he's got a ski mask, so he's ready to go fuck some shit up. Now, the guys that kidnapped her are your typical scumbag piece of shits that you see in anime all the time, as this guy actually starts putting hands on her and potentially tries to rape her. And I'm sitting here like, alright, so we're getting real edgy right now. As he tells her that, oh, this should be nothing new to you. This is your second time getting kidnapped, after all. As she starts having flashbacks to this scene that happened before and about how a stalker kidnapped her. And it seems very traumatic. It's pretty fucked by the looks of it, as this guy is just throwing that traumatic event in her face and taunting her. And it's here that we see the Kagano is done with his preparations, as we see him on the roof, as he literally kicks in the skylight, jumps down, makes a pretty stylish entrance actually, and says, I'm just a stylish ruffian slayer. And I gotta be real, man. That shit was mega corny, but I actually kind of liked it. I actually really liked it. And it's here as the fighting starts that he quickly, effortlessly takes out the poser in a suit. Pretty brutally, I might add. So now it's just him and the other kidnapper standing face to face with each other, as he says, you know, I've been awfully bored since I was booted from the army. Doing these little kiddie abductions, partnering with a low-life amateur. This country of yours is too damn peaceful, as they start throwing hands. Now right away you can tell that this guy's crazy, as he actually pulls a knife out and actually cuts Kagano. But Kagano actually pulls out some crowbars and starts fighting like frickin' Nightwing in here, as he starts explaining to him that, you know, crowbars are great, Mr. Ex-Military. They're sturdy and don't break, they're easy to carry around, and if you end up in police questioning, you might be able to make excuses. And he really does fight like Nightwing in this scene. It's actually kind of cool how he's doing it. But this other guy thinks he hasn't figured out, as he says, I just have to protect my head. I'm fine. I'm bigger than you after all. As Kagano says, you might be right. At my current level, an ex-military man might be too much for me. So I should start getting a little serious about this. And immediately he flips the crowbar around, breaks his wrists, and tells him that I've discovered the real potential of crowbars. They're heavy, sturdy, and portable. Everything about them has immense potential. As this guy recognizes him and says, wait a minute, you're the Balaclava Berserker! I started to die laughing at that name. That name is so ridiculous. But I kind of like it. It's really fitting. He tells him I made it regular practice to beat up on the motorcycle gangs that would harass the city. They recently started wearing helmets, so I wouldn't kill them if I hit them in the head. And the solution I found to that problem was to stop using crowbars like Tom. He says that using them like a club has far more potential, as he absolutely just beats the living dog shit out of this guy. Like, when I say he beats him, he fucking beats him to like within an inch of his life. So after that, he turns his attention to Nishino, and she's absolutely terrified. Which, to be fair, he ain't giving off a warm and friendly vibe in this situation. She thinks that she's about to die right here. But he actually sets her free, with a warning that next time you should be more careful walking home. So he just vanishes right then and there, leaving her completely dumbfounded as she tries to leave there. And we get a little scene with him where he says, that's not good enough what I just did. If I struggle that hard to beat an ex-military person, I'll never become the Eminence in Shadow. And it's here we transition to the next day, literally as if nothing happened. As we get a replay of our previous scene earlier, she calls out to Kagano. But things are a little different this time as he looks her square in the eyes with a bright smile on his face and says, "Good morning." And she's absolutely shocked, like, wait a minute, something's not up here. I get the feeling that he's actually looking directly at me this time. She starts feeling that maybe he is like me. Maybe he lives his life behind a mask too. But now there's no way to know for sure. And we get revealed that he died. He was actually hit by a truck and killed. Like, he died right then and there. And we literally just go straight to credits. And I'm sitting here like, wait, there's no way that's the ending. Because that's wild. It's so abrupt. It just, yeah, he's dead. And then boom, credits. But obviously that's not the end of our episode. And it's here that we transition actually into Kagano's backstory. As he starts telling us that as far back as I can remember, it's what I've always wanted to be. It's kind of like how kids dream of being a hero as they're a kid. That's what I wanted to be. The flame never went out and kept driving me forward. I did everything I could to master every skill I needed to be strong. But the time has come for me to face reality. None of this is going to mean anything. The world is overflowing with martial arts and I could learn all of them. But I'll never get the kind of overwhelming power you hear about in all those stories. If, for example, I was surrounded by fully armored soldiers, that would be it for me. What if a nuclear missile fell from the sky? I can tone my muscles. I can hone my mind. I can polish my skills all I want. But if a nuclear bomb hits, all I can do is evaporate. And that's what it is to be human. I have to overcome those limits. The being that I want to be would not evaporate in a nuclear explosion. As we transition to this really cool shot, actually, of him just standing there menacingly looking out over the city. Kind of looking like a Lelouch right now, to be honest. As we see that he's surrounded by a bunch of women who are similarly dressed, who are calling him my lord, and I'm like, yo, what is this escalation here? As we pan around and see that they have multiple operatives around the city as well. As he says that I was blessed with a new life, in a new world no less, and I was given magic. With this new power at my disposal, there is but one summit for which we need to reach. As they all jump off the building, and it's actually a really cool shot actually, as he starts saying that I would give everything to get there. No, I will give everything up. If that's what it takes to get there, that's how badly I want it. I don't want to be the hero. I don't want to be the last boss. I want to be the one in the story who operates from the shadows, showing everyone their greatness. The Eminence in shadow. As our episode ends with a pretty damn cool close-up, actually. And I gotta say, guys, this show is mega edgy. I'm gonna tell y'all right now, it's pretty edgy. But I liked it. I actually genuinely kind of liked this episode. I think they handled it really well. Yes, it's edgy as hell, but so far, at least, I don't think it's too much, if there's such a thing. And I think the presentation has been really good. I'd say this episode did a really good job of kind of hooking you in and making you think like, okay, like, I kind of want to see where this goes now. Because that's how I feel with this show, actually. I'm surprised I enjoyed it as much as I did. It's kind of hype, actually. Maybe that's like the kid in me being like, yo, this is sick, let's go. But I'm curious to see where this goes, actually. So you guys let me know what you thought down below, because I thought this episode was pretty interesting. Because, again, like I said, I've heard that this is like something totally different. I heard that this is like a super comedy. And I don't see it at all from this episode. So you guys let me know your first impressions down below, because mine are pretty good. But that'll be it, guys. I apologize for the weird-ass upload for this video. It's been such a hectic couple weeks for me, guys. I'm frankly overwhelmed, but I'm trying to get this stuff out for y'all. So I really hope you enjoy it. Truly, I do. But until next time, guys, I hope you have a great day, week, month, and year. Until then, deuces. Have a blessed day.